Hey everyone. Here we go. This is one of my favorite make cycles, even though I know at first it's going to make you a little bit nervous because you have a partner. And I think you're going to do great. I think the partner stuff ends up being really fun for what we're about to do. So this make cycle, which is kind of going to pull together everything you've been doing, all the good work, for you to try out making your own writing assignment. And it's going to take us all the way through to Thanksgiving break. So this is kind of a 3-week instead of a 2-week full cycle. And we're going to kick off by, you'll have this whole next week to read about the author's chapter 7 and appendix G, which is going to think a little bit more about assessment. And I think you'll appreciate how much they talk in that chapter about how to notice students' interesting thinking about writing and how many conversations they have with students about what they're doing. One of the best things you can do is ask students, what they think instead of trying to guess. So I love that chapter. I'm also going to have you do your, I don't know, it may not be your first time, but for some of you it will be, like, take a look at some Common Core for a particular grade level you might be interested in. So I put links to grades 1 through 7 on the page. I'm just going to have you peek. And one of the things you should, if you haven't seen them before, be surprised by is they're pretty open. The way that sometimes standards or Common Core get enacted through testing and things like that can be odd, but the standards themselves, Common Core itself, at least for language arts, is you can do a lot. It says things like they should write a story. Like they should pick a topic and write about it. It's so open. I think you'll realize you have so much flexibility, which can also be its own challenge, right? You have a lot of flexibility, so then you have to design all the tasks, which is why I love Katie Wood-Ray's book, because it has so many suggestions. So you're going to do that the first week, is think about assessment, think about standards, think about the kinds of things that you want students to learn based on what Common Core is asking you to do with language arts. And then the following week, you're going to create an activity, a lesson for your partner who's going to be your student to try out. And I gave a couple of examples there that you can take a look at. Sometimes it's easiest to put the lesson plan into like a Google slide. And it's got some criteria in it just to make it so normally, you can lesson plan in whatever way that makes sense to you and kind of teach to your strengths. But so that we can read each other's a little more carefully, I do kind of have some bulleted, numbered kind of structures that I'm going to ask you to follow so that it makes more sense. So I'm going to have you start by choosing a picture book from a list that I have on our make page. Or you can choose one of the books from the picture book resource that you just created with the author that you were assigned. And think of that as like your mentor text, like we've been doing, and trying to teach an activity using that mentor text, that children's book, as inspiration. So once you choose your book, you're going to think about a grade level that you'd like to pitch this to, and then you're going to create a writing assignment for this person to try out. And you can think writing kind of broadly. Think about the multimodal thing that we just read. And some of you have some interesting lesson plans already from your picture book resource, and you might want to try one of those out. And then you're going to create that. You need to have, if you want them to look at the book, then you need to put the book maybe in some Google Slides or a link to a video that they watch. Maybe you have some examples for your young writer, in this case your adult writer, to look at. Maybe you break down the activity and have them do some idea generation before they write it. So you can decide those kinds of things, but you should be asking them to do some sort of writing. I'm going to ask you to think about, like, what Common Core thing would this match up with? Like, what standard are they hitting when they do this? And I'm going to ask you to think about, how would you assess it? Like, what would you expect to see? What would be a good piece of writing if students did it? And you can put all that together in a Google Doc or in a Google slide deck, whatever makes sense to you. You could even include a little video like this explaining it to them. And you should address it to your partner. You should say, like, hey, Christy, hey, Jessica, here's the assignment I want you to try out. And then they're going to also create one for you. So you guys are going to swap assignments. So you'll post this on Currents in the area that says, writing activity. And then the next week, I think the next week, I got to look. Is that right? Yes. So on Thursday, November 12th, this assignment will be due, this activity. And then by the following Wednesday, your partner, you're going to try each other's out. And I'm going to ask you to post that response, your writing that you did for the teacher, just as a comment underneath their writing activity. So you don't have to like comment on the writing activity yet on each other's like we normally do. You're going to wait until you've tried out their activity. So you're going to give the teacher your assignment. You can link to a Google Doc. You can paste it into the comment under their writing activity. And you're going to tell them how it went for you. Like, okay, here it is. I tried it out. Here's my activity. Here's what worked. Here's where I was confused. Here's what I enjoyed doing. So you're going to give some feedback to the teacher. And then the last thing y'all do before you head off into Thanksgiving break, thank goodness, I'm sure we could all use one, is you're going to respond to that writer and tell them what they did, yay, thanks for trying this out. And then you'll give a little bit of reflection on what might you change now that this person, one of the things that'll happen is sometimes the writer, the student, will do stuff you didn't intend with that activity, and sometimes it'll be even way better than what you intended, and you can design for it for the next time, but you're going to reflect a little bit. So little assessment, Common Core, you make an activity, you swap with each other, you try it out, give them some feedback, and reflect on it. And we're going to do that all in one currents post. You're going to post your activity, the response to that activity from the student's going to go in the comment, and then you can reflect kind of below that. We'll keep it all together. If you post it somewhere else, whatever, I'll move it to where it's supposed to go. It's not that big a deal. So yeah, I'm excited. In this case, you really can't be late because you got a partner who's relying on you. So if something happens, I have had really good luck with people being super respectful and professional. I don't think it's going to be an issue. But if for some reason your partner disappears on you, I'll either put you with another team or we'll figure it out. I'll try out your activity. We'll don't stress. We'll figure that part out. So yeah, that's our goal. Of course, feel free as always to ask me any questions, and I'm excited to see what you all come up with. I feel like teaching is only ever making lesson plans and course designs, which is like my favorite thing. So I don't mind it at all. And hopefully it should be fun. You should enjoy it. So thanks, y'all.